Hello. In this video, I want to graph y equals sine of x. Okay, so to do this, we need to go ahead and look at, well, what does this look like? Well, first of all, we need the 5 key points, and we could list them out the way that, you see in the definitions, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and begin like this. So this is one where you're going to want to kind of memorize and understand how this works. There are 5 key points: 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Now notice that each of these go up by pi over 2. That's the scale here for the x's. Now for the y's, for sine, it starts at 0, then goes up to 1, back down to 0, down to -1, and back to 0. Now, we do want to go ahead and list everything here. A here is 1, B here is 1. So A is the number in front, B is the number in front of x. Now, C and D are your other translations. So C would be your phase shift, but you would have to have something else in the argument here, so that means that C is 0. And D is your vertical translation, or your vertical shift, and that's not there either because there's nothing out here by itself. Now, this tells me a few things. First of all, the amplitude is just the absolute value of 1, which is just 1. So the amplitude is just 1 here. B tells me the period, which would be 2 pi over B, which is 1, which is 2 pi. C tells me the phase shift, which is, of course, 0. And D is just the vertical shift. That's really all it is. But the period also tells me that the frequency is the following. It's 1 over the period, or in other words, it's B over 2 pi, which would be 1 over 2 pi. In other words, this tells me that it goes for 1 cycle every 2 pi radians. That's what it tells me. Alrighty, now that we know all of this, let's go ahead and graph this up here. So we have the coordinates 0, 0, and oh look, I don't know anything else because I haven't put a scale on here. Well, in order to keep from crowding everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this to be pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So this would be pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And of course I want to go ahead and do that to be 1 and -1. Awesome. So pi over 2 is 0, is 1, pi is 0, 3 pi over 2 is -1, and 2 pi is 0. And then just kind of connect those with a curve. You're just going to have to know what sine and cosine look like, which will look something like this. So sine begins at the origin and oscillates, and it goes up. And this is one full cycle of sine. This is also called the fundamental cycle. And there you go. By the way, we could keep going to the left here. Notice that we can just keep alternating between -1 and 0. Or between -1 and 1. And there you go. So notice that this full cycle is just repeated over here. This is why it's called a periodic function. So if there's a point here, and the period is 2 pi, if I go 2 pi units to the left, there's another point on the circle. If there's a point here, if I go 2 pi units to the left, there's a point on the circle. Or if I start here and I go 2 pi units to the right, there's a point on the circle. Sorry, on the curve. I keep saying circle because I'm used to the unit circle. Sorry. Alrighty, well there you go. Here is everything we did in this video. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and I will see you in the next one. Have fun.